ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम को सुधारना ही होगा। जितनी तेजी से हमारा पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम आधुनिक बनेगा, उतना ही देश के नागरिकों की ईज ऑफ लिविंग बढ़ेगी, उनकी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ में सुखद सुधार होगा। इसी सोच के साथ आज देश में आधुनिक ट्रेनें चलाई जा रही हैं, मेट्रो का विस्तार हो रहा है, नए नए एयरपोर्ट्स और पोर्ट्स बनाए जा रहे हैं। कुछ दिन पहले जो देश का बजट आया, उसमें भी इसी भावना को सशक्त किया गया है और हमारे मुख्यमंत्री जी और उप मुख्यमंत्री जी ने उसकी भरपूर तारीफ भी की। भारत के इतिहास में पहली बार 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के विकास के लिए रखे गए हैं। ये 9 साल की तुलना में 5 गुना ज्यादा है। इसमें भी रेलवे का हिस्सा लगभग 2.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। महाराष्ट्र के लिए भी रेल बजट में ऐतिहासिक वृद्धि हुई है। मुझे विश्वास है कि डबल इंजन सरकार के डबल प्रयासों से महाराष्ट्र में कनेक्टिविटी और तेजी से आधुनिक बनेगी। साथियों, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर निवेश किया गया हर रुपया नए रोजगार की संभावनाएं बनाता है। इसमें जो सीमेंट लगता है, बालू लगता है, लोहा लगता है, निर्माण में मशीनें लगती हैं, इनसे जुड़ी हर इंडस्ट्री को बल मिलता है। इससे बिजनेस करने वाले मिडिल क्लास को भी लाभ होता है, गरीब को रोजगार मिलता है। इससे इंजीनियरों को रोजगार मिलता है, श्रमिकों को रोजगार मिलता है। यानी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जब बनता है तब भी सबकी कमाई होती है और जब तैयार होता है तो वो नए उद्योगों, नए बिजनेस के रास्ते खोलता है। भाइयों और बहनों, इस बार के बजट में मध्यम वर्ग को कैसे मजबूती दी गई है, इस बारे में मैं मुंबई के लोगों को विशेष तौर पर बताना चाहता हूं। चाहे सैलरीड क्लास हो या व्यापार कारोबार से कमाने वाला मध्यम वर्ग, दोनों को इस बजट ने खुश किया है। आप देखिए, 2014 से पहले तक क्या हाल था। जो भी व्यक्ति साल में 2 लाख रुपए ज्यादा कमाता था, उस पर टैक्स लग जाता था। भाजपा सरकार ने पहले 5 लाख रुपए तक की कमाई पर टैक्स में छूट दी और इस बजट में इसे 7 लाख रुपए तक पहुंचा दिया। आज जिस कमाई पर मिडिल क्लास परिवार का टैक्स 0 है, उस पर यूपीए सरकार 20% टैक्स लेती थी। अब ये युवा साथी जिनकी नई नई नौकरी लगी है, जिनकी मासिक आय 60-65 हजार रुपए तक की है, वे अब ज्यादा निवेश कर पाएंगे। गरीब और मध्यम वर्ग के हित में काम करने वाली सरकार ऐसे ही निर्णय लेती है। साथियों, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि सबका विकास से सबका प्रयास की भावना को सशक्त करने वाला ये बजट हर परिवार को ताकत देगा, हम सभी को विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए अधिक प्रोत्साहित करेगा। फिर एक बार मुंबई सहित पूरे महाराष्ट्र को बजट और नई ट्रेनों के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। आप सबका धन्यवाद।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री महोदय जी, आपका संबोधन सौगात के रूप में बरकरार रहेगा। मैं दिल की गहराइयों से आपके प्रति आभार ज्ञापित करती हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
So Prime Minister Narendra Modi there in Mumbai flagging off the Vande Bharat Express in the city. In all now, there are 10 Vande Bharat Express trains across the country. We'll continue getting you all the highlights, the Prime Minister's Mumbai visit. Let's shift our focus to some other stories also that we're tracking this Friday. The political showdown has kicked off in Telangana months before the assembly elections. The latest showdown between the BJP and the BRS is over the new massive state secretariat building. The BJP Telangana president Bandi Sanjay has said that if BJP comes to power, he will demolish domes of the newly built state secretariat, calling the domes a culture of the Nizams. Bandi Sanjay claimed that the next BJP government, he says, will come into power, would wipe out all kinds of structures that are symbols of slavery of the Nizam regime, accusing Chief Minister KCR of appeasing Oasis by converting the People's Secretariat into a Taj Mahal-like Samadhi. Sanjay said that his government will make suitable changes that reflect Indian culture, that reflect Telangana culture.
అంటే ఆ సచివాలయం ఒక సమాజంగా ఉంటున్నారు ఓవైసీకి కేసీఆర్ సార్ చాలా సంతోషపడుతున్నారు. అప్పుడు ఒకటి చెప్పాడు డైలాగ్, సినిమా డైలాగ్ ఉంటే బావ కన్నులు ఆనందం చూడడానికే ఇది చేస్తాడు. ఇలా ఓవైసీ కన్నులు ఆనందం చూడడానికే ఒక తాజ్ మహల్ లెక్క కేసీఆర్ కట్టి సచివాలయాన్ని కట్టి ఇలా ఎంఐఎం పార్టీకి అప్పయ్యే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాడు. ఈ తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రాన్ని ఎంఐఎం పార్టీకి అప్పయ్యే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాడు. ఆయన దేశాన్ని ఎన్నే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నాడు. 50 సీట్లలో పోటీ చేస్తున్నాడ. నీ దమ్ముంటే 119 నియోజకవర్గాలు పోటీ చేయమని చెప్పినా నువ్వు పోటీ అయ్యి.
Apurva Jayachandran is joining us live from Hyderabad with more details on this. Apurva, any reaction that's come in so far from the BRS on this entire controversy?
Well, definitely, the BRS has reacted strongly on this comment, insensitive comment that has been, they're saying it's an insensitive comment that has been made by, Bandi Sanjay, and also going ahead to say that this new secretariat, where in fact we're just, meters away from the new secretariat, and as my BJ will be pointing out, that is the construction that is currently ongoing here at the new secretariat over there. In just a couple of days from now, this will be inaugurated there. This is the new secretariat that has been constructed after it has been named the B.R. Ambedkar Secretariat there for Telangana. This will be the secretariat. That dome-like structure is what Bandi Sanjay has said that will be demolished if BJP is voted to power. This is what he has said as well. And now, BRS has strongly reacted on this, wherein they said that whatever Bandi Sanjay has said is completely false. And in fact, they also go on to say that this new secretariat and the structure that Bandi Sanjay so says that it replicates that of the time of the Nizams is completely untrue. It does not bear any resemblance to the Nizam style of architecture, but that it is an amalgamation of the culture and tradition of what Telangana has long been standing for, and that is what we have also represented by
all of
the
this,
construction of
this
the new
war of
secretariat.
words happening just days before Chief Minister KCR actually goes ahead and inaugurates that massive state secretariat. It's a pet dream of sorts for him. Thanks, Apurva, for joining us with those details. We've got breaking news coming in. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has broken her silence, has spoken out on Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's blooper of reading last year's budget in the Rajasthan Assembly. Nirmala Sitharaman has in fact said that yes, it's a mistake and can happen with everyone, and then she sarcastically adds saying, I pray to God it doesn't happen with anyone. She's also gone on to say that something clearly isn't right with Congress governments in the state. Let's play out for you exactly what Nirmala said.
सेस आप कलेक्ट कर रही हो, सेस का विवरण भी मैं देती हूँ, कितना कलेक्शन होती है, कितना स्टेट्स को जाता है, मैं बिल्कुल देती हूँ उसको.
राजस्थान मैडम,
बाकी भी बोलती हूँ सर. स्टेट्स, हाँ, राजस्थान? नहीं, राजस्थान में गड़बड़ है भैया. पिछले साल के बजट इस साल पढ़ रहे हैं. सर,
उनको तो ये भी पता नहीं है.
अम्मा, सर, गॉड किसी को भी
साल का बजट पढ़ रहे हैं, पिछले साल का बजट पढ़ रहे हैं. ये भी
सर मैं
So that is the reaction from Nirmala Sitharaman to a lot of jeering from the BJP. She says something isn't right in Rajasthan, highlighting how Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, in a hugely embarrassing moment earlier today, actually read out last year's budget. He holds the finance portfolio, so the Chief Minister stood up to present the budget and then went on for a whole 8 minutes reading out last year's budget speech. He read about 3 paragraphs, and then it wasn't that the Chief Minister realized. His fellow minister, Congress Minister Mahesh Joshi, realizes something isn't right, that he's reading out last year's budget in the assembly and then flags it up to Chief Minister Gehlot. Almost immediately after, ruckus erupted in the Rajasthan assembly. Even after the intervention of the assembly speaker to contain the uproar, the opposition went ahead and chanted "Shame, shame" slogans, leading to the House being adjourned as well briefly. The BJP tore into the Congress after Gehlot's latest blooper. They even staged a sit-in dharna in the well of the House, following which the Rajasthan Chief Minister issued an apology in the assembly.
नहीं, जो आपने किया है दैट इज शेयर केयरलेसनेस। कोई भी मुख्यमंत्री इस तरीके से बिना अपने बजट को पढ़े अपने कागज को लेके ऐसे नहीं आ जाता है। अगर इस तरीके से होगा तो आई फील सॉरी कि राजस्थान का क्या होगा। इसलिए आप इन चीजों को यहां मत।
It reflects the lack of involvement of the Chief Minister and the Finance Minister in an exercise as important as the budget. We have seen time and again how Rajasthan has been suffering because of misgovernance. And if you have the Chief Minister of the state who's not even invested in an exercise like budget, it shows really how callous he is, how disregardful of the people of Rajasthan he has been in the last 4.5 years that he's been in office. The people of Rajasthan are watching the kind of lackadaisical approach that the Chief Minister has had towards governance. And I'm quite sure that in the coming days, in the elections that are due this year, the Congress will be wiped out from Rajasthan, and for a long, long time.
The BJP using this opportunity to lash out at Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot as he went on for a whole 8 minutes reading last year's budget. Only at the end, where it's flagged up by one of his ministers, does he realize that he was actually reading the 2022 budget. Now, add to this is the fact that the BJP then picked it up in the assembly, started chanting "shame, shame" slogans. Hours later, Chief Minister Gehlot had to issue a formal apology in the House for his blooper and for, in fact, referring to last year's budget and reading out a whole 3 paragraphs without realizing that something wasn't right. This video has gone viral. It's led to a huge amount of embarrassment for Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. That entire sequence with us here on India Today. Let's move on to some other stories. A very promising boost to self-reliance in military aviation. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited today unveiled the first images of a brand new supersonic fighter trainer aircraft intended to train future pilots for frontline combat. Called HLFT-42, the new trainer is currently in the works and a prototype will be ready soon. A full-scale model of the jet will be unveiled at the Aero India show in Bengaluru next week. Aviation buffs and experts are all abuzz over the new fighter trainer, revealed in just these few images that have been put out today. The high-performance platform incorporates an ultra-modern cockpit and a full complement of combat sensors, of weapons and operational capabilities. Currently, fighter pilots first go supersonic only on frontline fighter jets like the MiG-21 or the Su-30. With the new HAL jet trainer, pilot trainees get to not only experience supersonic flight, but are exposed to a very fighter-like environment before actually graduating to frontline fighters. This not only helps save costs and airframe use on expensive frontline fighters, but will allow the Air Force to fill a tiny but very crucial gap in its exhaustive pilot training regimen. What's more, in a war-like scenario, the HAL trainers can be quickly weaponized as light tactical fighters if the need arises. But the best of all, it's a fully indigenous solution to a present and future problem that will only increase. And you can catch more details of what's expected in the Aero Show on 5 Live with Shivarur. I'm slipping into a very short break here on India Today. Coming up on the other side, ISRO's mini vehicle soars into space as India launches the next gen SSLV D2 rocket.
SSLV D2 ब्रह्मोस यान का अपने उद्देश्य कक्षा की ओर
You are watching India Today.
Over 3 decades, Business Today has delivered news, views and analysis like no other. Now, Business Today presents the future.
Could I request Mr. Arun Puri, our Editor-in-Chief, to come up on the stage with the Finance Minister as we unveil the anniversary issue of Business Today. This is the 31st anniversary of India's #1 news magazine.
BT produces a cover with an AI avatar of Pichan on its 31st anniversary issue. Visit businesstoday.in/subscribe and subscribe now.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
You are watching India Today.
Welcome back. Let's round up for you all the other national stories that we're tracking this Friday. As the Adani showdown continues in Parliament, the Supreme Court took up 3 petitions seeking a court-monitored probe into short seller Hindenburg Research's report that accused the Adani Group of stock manipulation. The Supreme Court will continue hearing the matter on Monday. Union Minister Giriraj Singh has backed the controversial Cow Hug Day celebrations, backing the Animal Welfare Board of India's advisory to celebrate Cow Hug Day on February 14th. The Union Minister said everyone should love cows. This notice has already created a storm, with many opposition leaders quite simply calling it ridiculous. BRS workers clashed with police on Thursday during, the TDP National General Secretary Nara Lokesh's Padayatra Yuva Galam in Chittur. Amid massive crowd, party workers were seen jostling with the police force. Former Jharkhand Chief Minister Shibu Soren has been admitted to Medanta Hospital in Ranchi. Doctors said Soren was having difficulty breathing. He also has an infection in his lungs and kidney. Doctors are currently examining Soren's condition. Treatment is underway. 7 workers died due to asphyxiation during the removal of oil sludge in an edible oil tank in Kakinada district of Andhra Pradesh. The incident took place when one of the labourers was cleaning the oil tanker. He slipped and fell into the tanker, and to save him, 6 others entered in and died. Now, ISRO launched the Small Satellite Launch Vehicle, or the SSLV-D2, from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre at Sriharikota. The new vehicle has been developed to capture the emerging small and micro satellite commercial market. We get you all of the highlights of that big launch from earlier today.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. beautiful launch of SSLV D2 EOS 07.
With this, India successfully launched another mission into space. Indian Space Research Organization launched SSLV D2 on a second demonstration mission to low Earth orbit. As the launch vehicle successfully crossed the 3 stages, scientists at the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota erupted in cheer.
With the successful launch of SSLV D2,
I'm very happy to report that we have analyzed the problems faced in the SSLV D1, identified the corrective actions, implemented in a very fast pace, qualified all of those new systems, went through large amount of simulations and studies to ensure that the vehicle will become success this time.
Students who were part of this space mission were enthusiastic to witness history.
आओ मेरे साथ अंतरिक्ष में तुम्हारा है देखेंगे वहाँ से कैसा दिखता है देश हमारा देखेंगे वहाँ से कैसा दिखता है देश हमारा.
It does not come every day. Coming to ISRO is not. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I took out my time from academics, from co-curricular activities. It took around 2 months for us to develop this. We got a kit from Space Kids. We got online classes. We learned about the sensors, the temperature sensor, the pressure sensor, and the earlier one was not a failure. It was a learning experiences, and learning experiences can never go wrong.
SSLV D2, the 6th launch vehicle designed and indigenously developed by ISRO, carried 3 major satellites. Primary payload was the Earth Observation Satellite 07.
EOS 07 satellite separated. मुख्य उपग्रह EOS 7 का सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपण कर दिया गया है.
Second satellite was technology demonstrator Janus 1 in partnership with USA's Antares.
Janus 1 satellite separated. Janus 1 के अंतक्षेपण की पुष्टि की जा चुकी है.
But the highlight was Azadi Sat 2 by Chennai-based space startup Space Kids.
and here we have Azadi Sat 2 separation also.
Developed by 750 girl students from 75 schools across India, Sat 2 symbolized budding girl scientists and their space aspirations. The newly developed small satellite launch vehicle has been introduced to cater to the small satellite launch market. Changes after initial partial failure, this upgraded launch vehicle's key features are low cost with faster turnaround time, flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites, launch on demand feasibility, and minimal launch infrastructure requirements.
1, 0.
With this successful mission of India's new rocket, the country has marked another achievement and gears up for more indigenous milestones in space. With Shilpa Nair, Bureau Report, India Today.
And as we slip into a short break here on India Today, here's a glimpse of Kiara Advani and Siddharth Malhotra's dreamy wedding. Kiara shared this video on her social media.
आजा हुण
are watching India Today.
Bonnie Kapoor took to social media to announce that the biography on his late wife and actress Sridevi is in the works and will release later this year. Speaking about the same, he called his late wife a force of nature. Titled as The Life of a Legend, the book will feature the key aspects of Sridevi's life and career. It will be published by Westland Books. The actor had passed away in 2018, leaving a void in the industry. And on her 5th death anniversary, her popular film English Winglish is set to release in China. The drama marked Sridevi's comeback to films after a long hiatus of 15 years.
English tuition? I can come in?
You may not. You need to ask, may I come in?
English Winglish had gone on to become India's official entry to the Academy Awards in the Best Foreign Language Film category for 2013. The story of the film revolved around a housewife who decided to take up English lessons in the US after being mocked by her husband and daughter.
She was born to make laddu.
I, Shashi, from the India.
No, Sashi, not from the India. From India.
Why India, not the India? Why America, the United States of America?
In her illustrious filmic career, Sridevi had acted in as many as 300 films.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
You are watching India Today.
Terrible images coming in of death, destruction and despair from Turkey. The relief and rescue operations continue now for the 5th day after the multiple quakes rocked Turkey and Syria. Over 20,000 people have died, more than that injured, and millions left homeless in what has been one of the deadliest tremors and quakes in decades. While dramatic rescues continue and the hunt for thousands trapped under the rubble goes on, hope is turning to despair. So it's been more than 72 hours after the devastating quakes, and their chances of survival now are dimming. Amid freezing temperatures, several families were seen living in their cars, their homes reduced to dust, and they have nowhere to go. Turkey's President Erdogan has urged citizens to be patient and pledged to rebuild shattered homes, shattered towns, shattered cities within a year.
So Secretary Blinken thought it was important to pick up the phone to his foreign minister counterpart now for the second time in nearly as many days to have a conversation with the foreign minister about what his government was in need of, how the United States could continue to be a partner in this effort, and how we could actually redouble our support for efforts on both sides of the border, the efforts that our Turkish allies are undertaking and the efforts to save and to help the people of Syria ultimately rebuild.
A center of solidarity is now an epicenter of suffering. People are facing nightmares on top of nightmares, and the United Nations has done its best to race to respond. We are deploying disaster assessment experts, coordinating search and rescue teams, providing emergency relief, food, medical supplies, thermal blankets, and other life-saving items. And we are committed to do much more.
India Today is the only Indian channel on ground in Turkey. Here are a series of reports filed by Gaurav Sawant as he travelled to Nurdagi in Turkey, one of the worst affected areas where the NDRF teams are also helping in the rescue relief.
It's said that a dog is a man's best friend, and in this instance, both Julie and Romeo have actually proven to be a man's best friend. They proved critical. The sniffer dog squad of the NDRF team, and with us also is the commandant, the commanding officer of the NDRF team. Sir, the dog squad, how successful have they been in these operations?
Thank you very much. I must tell you that dogs have been turned out to be the critical factor in these search operations because of the sound and the lot of debris there. The technical search has not been very, very effective, but these two dogs of ours, Julie and Romeo, they have done a wonderful job. We were able to save a girl child yesterday just because of the good work done by Julie and followed by Romeo.
Sir, how is it that they are able to, how are you using them in these operations?
Okay, these dogs are not ordinary dogs. They are specially trained to find a live victim in debris. So this is the way they are trained, and they are trained in such a way that the handler handles them like a remote control. So he remains at a distance, and these dogs, they go inside the debris, risking their lives. And whenever they found a person who is alive, if the person is dead, they are not responding. But if the person is alive, they are barking and they are indicating to their handler that there is a possibility of the live victim inside the debris. So this is what they do.
तो इनको जूली और रोमियो को ट्रेन कैसे करते हैं आप? ट्रेनिंग कैसे होती है इनकी?
इनकी ट्रेनिंग 2 साल की ट्रेनिंग कराई जाती है. इनके हम लाइव सेंट दे करके पहले से ट्रेन करते हैं.
ठीक. तो जूली here and Romeo here. So these are the two sniffer dogs of the NDRF team, and Julie was the one who sniffed out life in that 6-year-old child who was rescued. With camera person Kripal Singh at Nurdagi NDRF camp just before they leave for yet another mission to save more lives in Turkey. Gaurav Sawant for India Today. Let me now take you towards the Indian camp. That's where we are headed. This is the NDRF team, the familiar orange jacket and their Siachen clothing. So this is the NDRF team that's now preparing for the operations, and we'll be heading out with them in just a moment. So all of them, they're just having a very quick breakfast. As soon as the breakfast is over, now, like I was telling you, there's just one, this is the common point. This is the common food point for all aid workers, irrespective of the country they've come from, irrespective of the rank of an individual. There are some countries who've sent their senior officers. So whether it's a senior officer or a young, rescuer, they all queue up in the same place. They all live in the same tents, all live in the same area. This is where they pick up their food. This is where they stay. A quick meal, and then in these buses, they are off. And India Today will be reporting along with this team, because it's a very crucial area once again where this team is headed out. There is some information that there are lives, that there could be some people in the debris. So there's one team that's already working there. That team that's worked through the night will be relieved by this team that goes in. And just see how cold it is. If I could just show you, look, there is a very thick layer of ice on the windscreen of the car. So this is how cold it is. This incidentally is an Indian vehicle. As you can see, it's a UP14 number. These are vehicles that were flown in on board those special C-17 Globemaster Indian Air Force aircraft. So the Indian team that's traveled, there are 3 teams of 50 personnel each of the NDRF, the National Disaster Response Force. They've flown in with their own vehicles, their own minibus. Sahab, Jai Hind, kya hal chal?
जानता हूँ सर, आपका नाम क्या? आप आर्मी को कवर करते हैं।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
आपका नाम है सर ध्यान
गौरव सावंत.
गौरव सावंत.
So this NDRF team, we've just fetched up with them. We've just this team will be going out with them. So their vehicles all lined up here. We'll be going out with them. We'll be reporting from the area where there is hope. Yesterday they found one 6-year-old child alive. There is hope others could be found alive there. Right, so at this camp where we are at Noor Dagi, you have the Indian team which is here, and the Indian team is all lined up. And let's in a moment try and talk to them. Sir, आप लोग अभी कहाँ पर जा रहे हैं सर? कहाँ पर आज आप
कजन टिप पे यहीं पर ही लोकल में ही यही जो सिटी है, तो यहाँ पर कल भी रेस्क्यू किया था, परसों भी रेस्क्यू किया था. आज नई साइट मिलेगी.
तो किस तरह से आप लोग जाते हैं? कैसे डिसाइड होता है कहाँ जाना है और कितने लोग जा रहे हैं?
सर, एक यहाँ का लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन होता है, वो तय करता है कि हमें उनके साथ कौन सी साइट पे जाना है, कहाँ पे. जी सर.
अच्छा, और कितने घंटे आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं और कितने लोग की टीम अभी यहाँ पर है?
सर, तकरीबन 2 टीम है, 102 आदमी हैं टोटल. एक टीम दूसरी जगह गई हुई है. हाँ. तो कुल मिलाकर के 100 से ऊपर टीमें हैं. और सर, इसको 2 भागों में बांटा गया है. तो सुबह से लेकर के शाम तक, एक दोपहर तक रहती है और एक दोपहर के बाद ऐसे. और रात को लाइट न होने के कारण और आफ्टर शॉक आते रहते हैं. लाइट न होने के कारण सावंत सर, तो थोड़ा रिस्क ज़्यादा है. रिस्क होने के कारण में नाइट में काम ये लोकल लोग यहाँ पर जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है वो बंद करवा देता है.
The Turkish team, let me just show you, give you a lay of the land here. Some of the teams are actually on their 2-wheelers because that's also a way to get faster to that area. So, again, it just burn wood here out in the open, nowhere to stay. The effort is to be able to rescue as many people as possible and as quickly as possible. And imagine they've been living out in the open with their blankets in their tents with nothing except wood to burn in a place like Noor Dagi. It's snowing. It was snowing last night, and there were earthquake aftershocks that were being felt even when we got here. Rescue operations continue in Turkey, and at Noor Dagi with us is Tomris. Tomris, what can you tell us about the operations that are happening here?
Actually, also our Turkish people are very sadness because nearly 10 cities the actually hide and seek. So we are very sad, and I am thank you for Turkish people, Indian people, because we are helping for me. And this place is the you see very bad, and nearly 20,000 died people in Turkey earthquakes. So very sadness, and thank you for all helping all world, and extra Indian people is thank you.
We continue getting you more such ground reports by Gaurav Sawant from Turkey. I'm slipping into a very short break. Coming up on the other side is our hearing impaired segment.
You are watching India Today.
It is often said, when women are empowered, whole society benefits. A group of women working for Shiv Shakti Foundation in Raisin town of Madhya Pradesh are proof of that.
सर्वप्रथम तो हमारा जो संगठन है उसका नाम शिव शक्ति फाउंडेशन है, जिसके माध्यम से हमारा एक ही मात्र उद्देश्य है समाज सेवा, जिसमें हमारे द्वारा नेकी की दीवार का कार्यक्रम स्टार्ट किया गया है. दूसरा आपका नर्मदा सफाई अभियान हमारे यहाँ प्रत्येक रविवार को आयोजित किया जाता है.
The group works on multiple fronts. They donate clothes to school students so that they can fight the bitter cold wave.
शिव शक्ति फाउंडेशन के द्वारा मुझे मिला है, स्वेटर मिली है आज। तो मेरे पास स्वेटर नहीं थी, तो मैम ने मुझे स्वेटर दी है आज। मुझे नहीं, इन सब लोगों को दी है।
They motivate other citizens to join social work.
हम ये सोचते हैं कि अगर हमसे हो सके, जितनी मदद हो पा रही है हम उतनी मदद करें और लोग इसमें सहयोग करें और सभी की मदद हो सके और सभी हमें सपोर्ट करें।
Every Sunday, they head towards the Narmada River to clean it. And they even help the traffic police.
आज बहुत अच्छा लगा कि हमारे शक्ति फाउंडेशन पूरा परिवार आया हुआ है और हम लोग हर रविवार आएंगे और 11 बजे से 2 बजे तक हम लोग 3 घंटे का समय इधर पर बिताएंगे। और हम आप सभी से निवेदन करते हैं, आप सभी आएँ और इधर पर गंदगी ना करें और हमारा सहयोग दें। हम सहयोग की आपसे अपेक्षा करते हैं।
These women from Resin want to set a new example for women empowerment. Bureau Report, India Today.
Nightmare earthquake bleeds Turkey. Heartbreaking human tragedy unfolds. Images of suffering, hope, and redemption. As India helps Turkey pick up the pieces.
Indian Army personnel who are deployed here.
India Today reports from Ground Zero.
Some voices can be heard in this debris.
The only channel in the quake zone.
Most of them are fractures. They have been buried under the rubble for more than 3 days.
Thank you, Indian people, for helping. Thank you, Indian people.
With cameraman Kripal Singh, Turkey, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
UP's Mega Global Investors Summit kicked off today by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who inaugurated the session and hailed Chief Minister Yogi's governance in the state. Apart from the top cabinet ministers, India's leading businessmen also attended the event. The UP government has set a target of investments worth 23 lakh crores. Prime Minister Modi visited Mumbai today. This is his second visit to the city in less than a month. Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating key infrastructure projects. The financial capital has also gotten its second and third Vande Bharat trains. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, who also holds the finance portfolio, presented last year's budget in a hugely embarrassing move. He was told by fellow Minister Mahesh Joshi that he's reading out the old budget, went on to read it for a whole 8 minutes. Following the incident, opposition chanted slogans and in fact garrowed the Chief Minister. The death toll due to the deadly earthquake in Turkey and Syria has crossed 20,000. Rescue operations continue to hunt for thousands more who are trapped under the rubble. Turkey's President Erdogan has urged citizens to be patient and pledged to rebuild shattered towns and cities within a year.
बाबा दिल्ली से।
क्या दिक्कत है?
बाबा मंत्रिमंडल फेरबदल से डर लग रहा है।
देखो यहाँ पहले से लिखा है, दिल्ली से आए हैं, मंत्रिमंडल फेरबदल से डर रहे हैं। ये देखो, ये तुम्हारे काम काज का रिपोर्ट कार्ड।
मोदी बाबा की जय।
आजा आजा इधर आजा। कहाँ से आया है?
हम भी दिल्ली से आए हैं।
तुमको क्या समस्या है?
पद छिनने का डर सता रहा है महाराज।
ये देखो अपना पर्चा, सब लिखा है, दिल्ली वाले हैं, पद छिनने का डर है। और सुनो, तुम्हारी पूरी फाइल यहाँ रखी है, बस एक झलक देख लो, ज्यादा नहीं बोलेंगे।
मोदी बाबा की जय।
आ जाओ सारे, आ जाओ, सामूहिक अर्जी लगाएंगे। सुनो, अपना प्रचार बंद करो, सरकार के काम काज का प्रचार करो, समय कम है, जल्दी करो।
बीजेपी सरकार की जय। मोदी बाबा की जय।
LIC हर पल आपके साथ। बूडा जीन्स कंपनी, प्लैनेट इजी।
Big boost to Atmanirbhar Defense. HAL unveils supersonic fighter trainer. Desi trainer for Indian Air Force's future pilots. Big buzz over new fighter.
It's a very exciting new aircraft for future pilots of the Indian Air Force that's just been unveiled and announced by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. What does it look like? Well, that's what it looks like. But what is the reality of it? When will it come online? And what are the big questions surrounding such a complicated project? Remember, in the political sphere, HAL has been painted as a company that is beleaguered. It has been politically cheated, but the company is shining and they've put out this new project that we're going to detail first and exclusive here on India Today. Thanks for tuning in. This is 5 Live. The headlines as always first. City of Nawabs turns into a business hub as Lucknow hosts Global Business Elite. Prime Minister inaugurates UP Global Business Summit, praises UP business model.
अगर आज दुनिया के लिए ब्राइट स्पॉट है तो यूपी भारत के ग्रोथ को ड्राइव करने वाला एक अहम नेतृत्व दे रहा है.
Controversial statement by Telangana BJP chief Bandi Sanjay says will demolish domes of secretariat because they reflect Nizam culture. Big embarrassment for Ashok Gehlot government in Rajasthan Assembly. Reads out the previous year's budget by mistake. Opposition cries shame, shame. ISRO's mini vehicle soars into space as India launches the next generation SSLV D2 rocket carrying 3 satellites into orbit. This was the second test after the first one failed last year. Huge congratulations to ISRO. Business Today TV quizzes LIC on Adani. LIC boss gives a big assurance, says will ensure investments are safe. It's always a very exciting day, especially for aviation buffs and those who track the military, when they see a new military aircraft. And this one's called the HLFT-42. It's completely indigenous. It is proposed to be made in India, and it claims to be a game changer as far as training and preparing pilots for every future scenario possible, in addition to saving huge current costs on training incurred by the Indian Air Force. Take a look as we unveil the HLFT-42, made in India.
Big boost to self-reliance in military aviation.
Hindustan Aeronautics Limited today unveiled first images of a brand new supersonic fighter trainer aircraft intended to train future pilots for frontline combat. Called HLFT-42, the new trainer is currently in the works and a prototype will be ready soon. A full-scale model of the jet will be unveiled at the Aero India show in Bengaluru next week. Aviation buffs and experts are abuzz over the new fighter trainer, revealed in just these few images released today. The high-performance platform incorporates an ultra-modern cockpit and a full complement of combat sensors, weapons and operational capabilities. With the new HAL jet trainer, pilot trainees get to not only experience supersonic flight, but are exposed to a very fighter-like environment before actually graduating to frontline fighters. The new trainer will allow the Air Force to fill a tiny but crucial gap in its exhaustive pilot training regimen. What's more, in a war-like scenario, the HAL trainers can be quickly weaponized as light tactical fighters if the need arises. Best of all, it's a fully indigenous solution to a present and future problem that will only increase. Currently, fighter pilots go supersonic only on frontline fighter jets like the MiG-21 or Su-30. With Shivarur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's tell you a little bit about this new aircraft that's been proposed. It's only in the concept stage right now. It's being proposed to the Indian Air Force. Now, if the Indian Air Force chooses to get it, this is the kind of capability that it will receive. It's a supersonic jet trainer aircraft. An absolute, necessity as far as training is concerned, because this is an aircraft that can go supersonic. HAL claims that it will be fitted with advanced sensors and an advanced cockpit. It will also have, give pilot the full fighter feel, as in addition to supersonic speeds, which is crucial for modern, combat missions. That will happen as, through this. It will train pilots in advanced combat, because this will basically have all modern sensors, all modern equipment and avionics to give pilots what they will experience when they're in an actual advanced frontline fighter. But very crucially, it will save the high costs that the Indian Air Force currently incurs by training many of its pilots on actual frontline fighter aircraft. So instead of spending all that money on the MiG-21s and MiG-29s and Su-30s, they're saying, why don't you train on something that is cheaper to build and to operate? It's indigenous. It will be made in India if the Indian Air Force green lights this program. It's still early to tell whether the Indian Air Force will approve and show solidarity with this program. Now, let me just quickly, for the benefit of all of our viewers everywhere, to tell you what the Indian Air Force's training regimen looks like. It's a multi-stage training that takes place in the Indian Air Force. It starts with stage 1, which is a propeller training. Currently, that takes place on the PC-12, the Pilatus PC-12. These are Swiss aircraft. They're going to soon be replaced by HAL's HTT-40 aircraft. But these are the planes that currently are the first rung of training for all Indian Air Force pilots. Then they go to stage 2. They go to the HJT-16 Kiran aircraft. There are very few left right now that are training pilots. Very few left. They will soon be out of service. So that intermediate jet training is called stage 3. And finally, in stage 3, you've got the Hawk advanced jet trainers. These are British-built aircraft. HAL also constructs them, and that's where pilots go. Crucially, these aircraft do not fly supersonic, and therefore there's a stage 4, which is operational fighter training, where trainee pilots go from the Hawk into frontline fighters like the MiG-21, Su-30, etc., where they conduct training flights on actual fighters. So what HAL is proposing with this new aircraft is an intermediate step, a 3.5 stage, where it has this new HLFT fighter trainer, which basically has all the qualities of a fighter. It can travel supersonic. It's capable of simulating a real fighter environment and cockpit, but does not cost at all as much as operating a fighter, but can still travel supersonic. So all of these different issues are there, which will become a part of the Indian Air Force's training regimen, should the Indian Air Force decide to do that. I want to quickly also just put the spotlight on something that's coming up. It's a big, big week and a big month for Indian military aviation. They see military aviation, as it were, because you've got HAL unveiling this very promising combat fighter trainer today. Just a couple of days ago, you had India's very own Made in India LCA, Light Combat Aircraft, landing on India's very own aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. And on the last image on your screen, that is the Tapas surveillance drone system that has been manufactured and developed here in India. And as it happens, it will have its first public flight and showing next week in Bengaluru at the Indian Aero India exhibition. So lots of muscle flexing and lots of things to be proud about as far as Indian military aviation is concerned. But there are big questions as far as this flashy new fighter is concerned. Remember, obviously, this doesn't look real. These are concept images of what the aircraft will look like if it turns out to be real. But there are big questions that we must ask because many experts, including some former chiefs, are also asking. Question number one. How much will it actually improve pilot training? That is beyond doubt. If it delivers on the capabilities it claims to, this will be a game changer and a huge cost saver as far as pilot training is concerned. Number two, will the Indian Air Force support this aircraft program? Super crucial. The Indian Air Force hasn't always shown solidarity with programs of HAL, and for good reason sometimes. So will the Indian Air Force embrace the HAL-FT-42 is a big question. Number three, doesn't HAL already have its plate full with other aircraft programs like the light combat aircraft, including the Mark 1, the Mark 2. There are future aircraft like the TED-BF for the Navy that are also supposed to come online. What about all those platforms? Does HAL have its plate full? You know, does HAL have the bandwidth to keep one more fighter aircraft program coming online? Does it have the bandwidth to do it? And finally, number five, asking all these questions is fine, but will the cost-saving benefits be too good to resist? And will that finally be the game changer that persuades the Indian Air Force that this is something they should put their entire strength behind? So those are the big questions we're asking at this point of time. Now, I told you just a short moment ago that it has been an incredible week as far as Indian aviation is concerned. Just a few days ago, you had the Prime Minister in Bengaluru, near Bengaluru, as a matter of fact, unveiling the first light utility helicopter from HAL stable, designed, developed and built for the Indian Army. Now, this helicopter is going to be handed over to the Indian Army next week, and it is another reason to celebrate Indian military aviation this week. Take a look at what this helicopter is all about.
The view from a helicopter cockpit, flying between the world's highest landing grounds. The forbidding, desolate heights of the Siachen Glacier, where the air is thin, the temperatures well below zero, and where survival is a daily struggle. But the helicopter from which the video has been shot is not even in service yet. It's called the Light Utility Helicopter, developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It is currently under a final phase of testing and certification by the Indian Army and Air Force. This indigenous helicopter, with a high rate of production planned, will be churned out from HAL's Bengaluru Rotocraft facility to replace in-service Chetak and Cheetah helicopters that form a crucial logistic element in India's high-altitude deployments. A requirement of nearly 200 of the LUH has been laid down, but a firm order has still not been placed. Continuing accidents and fatalities on the Cheetah and Chetak fleet has not added urgency to the LUH program. With a crew of 2 and capacity to carry 6 passengers, the LUH is purpose-built for high-altitude operations. The 2-ton light helicopter can be modified from a basic cargo utility chopper to being able to deliver small special forces teams to forward locations, to a mini air ambulance, or even a light gunship. Of a requirement of about 400 light military helicopters, this indigenous chopper will fulfill the need for half. The other half, theoretically, is to be met by the Russian K-8-226T. That is to be built by India and Russia jointly. But with the latter deal going nowhere, critics of arms imports believe it's time to pour all resources and precious budgets into the Indian LUH. Most importantly, it's an Indian machine, developed, designed and manufactured in India by Indian engineers. The military will never have to face spares issues with an Indian helicopter. The helicopter, a derivative of the in-service and venerable Dhruv helicopter, will also be easily upgradable and as per the military's future needs. All this creates a strong case for the LUH to be India's sole future light utility helicopter. Whether or not India can pull back from the Russian deal is another story and may have its own political compulsions. But the LUH has proven that it is mature, capable and nearly ready to meet the Indian military's crucial helicopter requirements in the mountains and anywhere else they need to be deployed.
And we've got some breaking news coming in here on India Today. Post Pakistan's International Monetary Fund deal, 170 billion rupees in taxes are to be imposed on the beleaguered people of Pakistan who are already being crushed by economic misery. Hours after the International Monetary Fund issued a statement on its talks with Pakistan, Finance Minister Ishaq Dar said that the discussions with the global lender ended positively and the government will have to impose $170 billion I beg your pardon, 170 billion rupees, Pakistani rupees, in taxes through a mini budget in order to revive the loan program. 170 billion rupees in taxes on the Pakistani people at this time. You can only imagine how that's going to be received. The finance minister reminded that the program the incumbent government was implementing was the one signed by former Prime Minister Imran Khan with the IMF in 2019-2020. He reiterated that the Shehbaz Sharif-led government is holding talks to reach an agreement as a sovereign commitment. So, the incredible misery of a terror state with all its misplaced priorities, hit by the pandemic like everyone else, but also crippling floods last year, Pakistan is at a historic rock bottom low, and now in order to revive itself, Pakistan ironically needs to impose 170 billion rupee tax on its own people. That's what the IMF has stipulated. And coming up next, battered Turkey picks up the pieces. Over 21,000 killed in the deadly quakes. India Today reports from the epicenter. We take you straight there next for this exclusive report by Gaurav Samant.
Over 3 decades, Business Today has delivered news, views and analysis like no other, chronicling India Inc.'s journey through time. Now, at 31 years, Business Today presents the future. Mission 2047, Road to India at 100, with Indian industry's biggest stalwarts and an exclusive interview with Google CEO Sundar Pichai.
Hi.
Hi.
ये तो फुल लाइन मार रही है मुझ पे। क्या बोल रही है? Hi.
From wacky one-liners to some light-hearted cheesy dialogues.
हाय वाला हाय था।
Looks like Ranbir Kapoor is all set to charm his way into his fans' hearts, courtesy his new rom-com Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, the trailer of which went viral in no time.
Lovable, humble, respectful, romantic, प्यारा.
प्यारा और lovable same होता है.
मैं दोनों.
With healthy dose of intimacy, the film stays true to its name and also manages to stick to the genre. This Love Ranjan directorial also stars Shraddha Kapoor, making it her first collaboration with the filmmaker as well as Ranbir Kapoor.
एकदम अच्छी ड्राइव है, मजे करेंगे.
गाड़ी खराब हो गई और होटल में सिर्फ एक कमरा हो तो मैं जमीन पे नहीं सोऊंगा.
तू बिस्तर पे सो जाना, मैं जमीन पे सो जाऊंगा.
Ahead of the trailer launch, the star cast including Ranbir Kapoor, Shraddha Kapoor and filmmaker Love Ranjan was seen posing for the cameras. During the same, Ranbir was also seen adding a piece of heart to the puzzle.
किसी मासूम के दिल से खेलने का नतीजा क्या होता है?
Tu Jhooti Main Makkar is all set to roll out in cinemas on March 8th.
खेलते हैं.
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
कदर ही नहीं रह गई दुनिया में प्यार की. मेरा तो दिल कर रहा है कूद के मर जाऊं. इतने फ्रिवलेस हो चुके हैं लोग. छी.
India has sent 3 teams of NDRF, that is the National Disaster Response Force, for search and rescue operations in quake-hit Turkey. India Today's Gaurav Sawant caught up with one team in Turkey's Nuradgi, one of the worst affected zones. He sent us this report.
Rescue operations continue in Turkey, and at Nuradgi with us is Tomris. Tomris, what can you tell us about the operations that are happening here?
Actually, also our Turkish people are very sadness because nearly 10 cities the actually hide and seek. So we are very sad, and I am thank you for Turkish people, Indian people, because we are helping for me. And this place is the you see very bad, and nearly 20,000 died people in Turkey earthquakes. So very sadness, and thank you for all helping all world, and extra Indian people is thank you.
And coming up next, one of the most anticipated military interviews of the season. He's India's most viral army veteran. Lieutenant General KJS Tiny Dillon is a social media star. He's got a big book coming out and he's been going viral. We'll tell you all about it in this huge, uncensored military interview coming up next.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Public health. All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
And we're taking you straight to Mumbai for images coming in live of Prime Minister Modi interacting with the Bohri community, inaugurating the education campus of the Dawoodi Bohra community. These are live images coming in. The Prime Minister was there to flag off the latest Vande Bharat train. And here is the Prime Minister with the Bohri community in Mumbai. He has just inaugurated a brand new education campus of the Dawoodi Bohra community as well. Let's listen in.
अरबी एकेडमी का चौथा कैंपस और प्रधानमंत्री बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता सैयदना मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन के साथ मिलते हुए उनसे बातचीत करते हुए बेहद आत्मीय ये दृश्य जब प्रधानमंत्री बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता के साथ मिले। प्रधानमंत्री ने इस परिसर का निरीक्षण भी किया और वहां पर गणमान्य लोगों के साथ प्रधानमंत्री ने बातचीत भी की और ये दृश्य उस वक्त के हैं जब बोहरा समुदाय के सर्वोच्च नेता सैयदना मुफद्दल सैफुद्दीन के साथ प्रधानमंत्री ने मुलाकात की। बेहद आत्मीय ये दृश्य दिखाई दे रहे हैं। ये भव्य संस्थान अल जामिया सैफिया अरबी अकादमी का चौथा कैंपस है। प्रधानमंत्री ने आज इस नए परिसर का उद्घाटन किया।
Inaugurating the Mumbai campus of the Al Jamia Safia Arabic Academy located in Andheri's Marol area. Sayyidna Mufaddal Saifuddin, the 53rd Aldai al-Mutlaq and head of the Dawoodi Bohra community, is the man you see there with the Prime Minister hosting him and escorting him. This will be the fourth campus, also known as Jamia, that is being inaugurated in this fashion. Let's go straight across to India Today's Mustafa Sheikh for more. Mustafa, the inauguration of this Dawoodi Bohra community's education campus. Give us the significance of these images that we're bringing in live, Mustafa.
Well, this campus is of an Arabic university belonging to Dawoodi Bohra community, and it is in Marol, Andheri East area. It's a huge campus which has been inaugurated with students and teachers, facilities and recognition by the government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is known to have close ties with this particular Bohra community, and he shares a long history since the time he was Chief Minister of Gujarat. He has had chaired and attended many of the events of this community, and hence this is an important day for the community that the Prime Minister himself has come for this inauguration, and you can see that there are a large number the people from the community are present, and he was welcomed with a band, a traditional band which was played by this community while he was entering that university. And this inauguration of this university will be important and will have advantages for the Bori community and their future education. Back to you.
Okay, Mustafa, thanks very much. Great images there. The Prime Minister just wrapping up that visit with the Dawoodi Bohra community, inaugurating that very, very symbolic as well. Thanks. We will continue to bring you these images through the day today. Stay with us. He is perhaps India's most popular soldier general. He was the co-commander in charge of Kashmir, including the Kashmir Valley, when the Pulwama terror attack happened. And his memoir is now one of the most anticipated books that's about to be published. It's called Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye. And Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, better known as Tiny Dhillon, to all his millions of admirers in India around the world, is here with us for that first detailed interview ahead of the publication of his book, as well as to talk about some of the big things facing us as a nation today. General Dhillon, always a pleasure. Good to see you here on India Today. Thank you for your time, sir. First of all, congratulations on your upcoming book. We're all looking forward to it very greatly. But I want to start with something that is not only your passion, but something that the entire country is seeing right now, sir, which is the Turkey earthquake. And once again, it is the Indian Army that is helping over there. In the common Indian's mind, there is a perception that no matter what the problem, the Indian Army is called in to help. What is it about the Indian Army, sir? You know, having led large numbers of men and women over your career, what is it about the Indian Army that they have such an amazing reputation, not just here in India, but also abroad in the worst situations?
Thank you, Shiv. And first of all, good day to all of viewers. Indian Army, the ethos, the culture, the upbringing, the mentoring, the training, the chiseling, I can continue saying these words, is something which is beyond explainable words. It's a phenomenon. I served Indian Army, if I include my NDA and IMA training, 43 years. Never in these 43 years I ever had this feeling that job can take a second seat. I written in the book which you mentioned, I was not home when both my children were born. I was not there when they went to school, when they did their schooling, completed their schooling, when they went to professional colleges. So Indian Army का एक जज्बा ही अलग है, जो एहसास है ना, and they are a very people-friendly army. Even in situations in Northeast and in Kashmir, you covered them so extensively. The people there, in spite of all the propaganda, they say, "Sab army ki post nazdik laga do." They feel very secure, they feel very safe when there's an army close by. And then again, we are an army of India. India is a very diverse nation. We are a very diverse army. We do our job properly, and you talked about Turkey. In spite of whatever the diplomacy or whatever the states have been doing in the past, when there was a job to do, the humanitarian aid, Turkish citizens have to be saved, Indian Army contingent, the medic.
And the army was off.
Yes.
Instantly. There was no time wasted at all.
Yes, I tweeted about it. I said, Indian government decides, ADGPI is moving. So this is how it works. And a nation of our size, the army of our size, the military might, we have to be prepared for all contingencies at all times. only country in the world with 2 nuclear neighbors and both not very friendly to you.
Yeah.
So we have to keep our powder dry all the while, and out of area contingencies, humanitarian aid contingencies, any counter-terrorist contingency or local, sub-conventional convention.
Yeah.
We need to be every time ready for everything.
Yeah. How much energy does it take, General, to keep the powder dry at all times? Bahar se to it looks very easy. You have to be ready at all times. But there must be a cost and an energy expenditure to constantly be combat ready, constantly be prepared to fly at a moment's notice, no matter where the problem is in the world.
See, Indian Defence Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force all together, as also the paramilitary forces, maybe ITBP, BSF, CRPF, who are supporting the defence forces during peace as well as during war. They have to be ready all the time for all the contingencies, like I said earlier, and keeping the powder dry is easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah.
They are very specialist weapon systems, they are very specialist ammunitions.
Yeah, right.
Those ammunitions have shelf lives. Those ammunitions have storage requirements of maintenance of particular temperatures. Those ammunitions have problems of carriage. You cannot carry them in a particular type of a transport system. Those ammunitions will have to be replenished. They have to be turned over. Their life has to be checked every now and then. So it's a very complicated and complex system which various wings of the army, same is true for Navy and Air Force, who are continuously on the job.
Yeah.
Keeping your men in shape, keeping your fleet in shape, keeping your heavy equipment in shape, keeping your ammunition ready and replenished, and obsolete ammunition disposal. It happens in a very, very complex but in a very synthesized manner.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a major operation. I'm sure you are aware of it.
Absolutely.
But our countrymen, I think it's enough to say there's a lot which goes into it.
Yeah, and the work speaks for itself. Nobody needs to shout about it. The fact is the army quietly does its work, and that's the most amazing thing about it. General, now coming to a topic that's very close to you, but have been one of the most troubling episodes in our country, which is the Pulwama terror attack. Your book comes out on the 4th anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack. Reading your book, one comes to know that you had just taken over the Chinar Corps in Srinagar when the terror attack had happened. So in more ways than one, the Pulwama terror attack was your trial by fire. You were thrust straight into a nightmare as soon as you had taken charge. You had experience in Kashmir, but this was probably the maximum level trial by fire that could happen. Take us through what happened that day, sir. Like, you were there, just 4 days old in that position. What happened?
Like you said, I took over the responsibility or the command of Chinar Corps on 10th of February 2019. I had multiple tenures earlier.
Yes.
I've been there since Captain Days of 1988. I've seen 19th of January
So you're familiar with Kashmir?
1990 and everything. I've seen Kashmiri Pandit Exodus. I've seen a number of operations before that. And 10th of February I take over. 14th February an attack of the magnitude of where we lost 40 brave hearts of CRPF. This type of attack had not happened in Kashmir terrorism history earlier with so much of damage. Yes, it took time for us to understand the magnitude of the damage.
Yes.
But there was no time to be lost. We got down to work straight away.
Immediately.
We immediately, like I'll give you a small anecdote, I written in the book also. When I was traveling for a meeting, my ADC, Captain Sandeep Singh, naturally young officer, he was also following up the thing. This is 14th February evening. And he asked me in the vehicle, he said, sir, ab kya hoga? Again, pardon my language, I said, we will get the bastards. Now that is the time we need to recompose ourselves, get our composure together, get our act together, and then we got down to it. Within 48 hours, we got the intelligence, we struck, and less than 100 hours, we eliminated that module. The commander of that module was the code word Ghazi Kamran. And this is how Kitne Ghazi aaye.
Of your book, and everyone remembers that, that press conference as well. It must have been a source of amazing pride to take over the Kashmir Corps after having served in Kashmir. It's such a beautiful place, and I'm sure you would join me in recommending to all those watching that they must go and spend some time in Kashmir. It's a part of our great country, lovely, lovely place. But being there as a soldier is a different experience altogether, sir, because there you are not. There it's not a holiday, it's not a picnic. Any day could be your last. So I want to know, since having served on on the frontiers and the line of control, high altitude areas, etc. Death is always possibly around just the corner. You've touched upon some of the instances in your book. I want to know from you, what is your most telling memory of a close brush where you thought, this is it, this is the end now?
This happened...
the reason I'm asking is because most young people want to know that from those who've served.
See, this happened, although I had more tenures in Kashmir, I had number of encounters in Kashmir where I was personally involved. But this particular incident which you are referring to, the closest brush, happened in Manipur.
Right.
I was posted as a major in Rashtra Rifles in Manipur, and this was July of 2000, July of 98, July of 98. And we got information at 11 in the night that in a particular village there are 40 insurgents with the machine guns and all.
Right.
My commanding officer gave this information, and he also told me, Tani, lagta nahi hai sahi hai. This is too huge a number. I said, no sir, this particular village is a known place. It has acted as a training camp for the terrorist insurgents earlier. So this information is correct. It was on a pinnacle of a hillock. So I said, I will hit with a small team of 10 people. I will hit the village. The insurgents will run down. So we'll have strong ambushes at the base. Right. And I put 20 men each at 4-5 places. And I, with a small team, hit that village. It was raining the whole night. We walked for 4 hours. And early morning, as you are aware, in northeast, the sun rises early.
Yes.
It was around 4:35 and sun was just coming out. And as I was approaching the village, from the top, this insurgent opened up with a machine gun and a grenade launcher.
While you were climbing up?
While I was climbing up, and I looked into his eyes, he looked into my eyes. It was just for 30-40 meters. And these bullets were not hitting me. There's something called plunging fire.
Right.
When you fire downhill, the gravity takes the bullets away from the point of aim.
Right, right.
I explained this in this.
Yes.
And imagine, you are looking into his eyes, he's looking into your eyes, and he's firing at you, and you are not getting hit.
Right.
And that is when I called for the 2-inch mortar, because I knew I also won't be able to hit him, in spite of having...
Because he has the advantage, obviously.
He has the advantage. So we got the 2-inch mortar. Naik Krishipal, he ran up to me, and we then fired, and then that operation continued for 3 days. And again, I had close brushes in that operation. But beautiful thing is, next day morning, we were out of communication the whole day.
Yeah.
Next day, we were chasing this terrorist, and next day, I got into a place where I could communicate. So first thing, my headquarters was asking, is everything okay? Is everything okay? So I said, after giving the report, I told them, I said, there's a boy whose wife is in hospital. Please check and let me know what is the condition. So this is how we, and then second thing was, I said, my wife's birthday is coming after a few days. I may or may not return, please wish her. So this is keeping your senses alive, keeping a human angle, humanitarian aspects of soldier.
This is the humanitarian aspect of the soldier is another thing that is, very commonly portrayed in the public sphere. The buddy system, soldiers together, camaraderie in the forces. But most people, they see it, they applaud it, general, but I don't think people understand it as a soldier and a general can. Explain that to us. The capacity of people like you to put your life in your soldier's hands, your soldier to put his life in your hands. How does that work? And explain that with a situation where, 2 men or a group of men have actually realized that my life is in another person's hands.
Shiv, it is like this. Soldier by appearance looks a very tough man, very burly face, twirling mustaches, and big smart gun. But inside, he is a very, very nice, simple human being. He has a family, he has his fears, he has his parents, he has his children, everyone. We come from we come from the same society. But there comes a time when we leave apart all these things, and then we only look at our job at hand. And coming to buddy system. And buddy system is, there are 10 boys in a bunker. 1 man or a buddy pair is standing guard outside, one on the, say, northern side, one on the western side. It's breezy, it's snowing, it's chillingly cold. Now this man is giving the duty. Something called imandari, wafadari, zimmedari.
Right.
Imandari and wafadari we all understand. Zimmedari is something with which this man is standing guard. 10 people are sleeping inside. And he is zimmedar for the safety of these 10 men.
No compromise.
No compromise. And why no compromise? Now he is standing there if enemy fires or terrorist fire. He will save this 10 men.
Yeah.
But after 2 hours, he will go inside and sleep.
Yeah.
Somebody else will come out and stand guard. And फिर उसकी जिम्मेदारी है.
Right.
So जिम्मेदारी is in our DNA.
Yeah.
We can never let down our buddy, because it is not that we are letting down. It is next moment he may be letting you down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is an unwritten law.
Right.
Nobody leaves the buddy. We don't even leave our dead behind.
Yes.
So those are ethos of Indian Army.
This is something that's captured quite often in movies as well, sir. In India, we've seen movies about the armed forces quite a bit from many, many years, and I'm sure you've seen many of them as well. How does a soldier like you feel when you see the movies? Because the movies capture the glamorous aspect of it, the patriotic aspect of it, but like you said, it's not a cakewalk. It's not all hunky-dory in the armed forces. Yes, there's a great deal of nobility and pride and, and patriotism, but an overwhelming part of it is difficult. There's a great deal of drudgery. There's a great deal of mental stress, anxiety. How do you feel when you watch the movies? Do you feel like they should portray more about the reality of the armed forces, sir?
Movies in India.
I'm not saying that they are wrong, but a more realistic portrayal.
Movies in India, especially the war movies, the military movies, if I may call it. Earlier, if you remember in our childhood, there used to be this Colonel Saab with handlebar mustache, carrying a 12-bore gun, and maar dunga, kat dunga. That is not the way a soldier is. Soldiering is a very, very serious business. And the movie making has to be done very seriously. We can't have, a soldier running around the trees and singing songs. No, he has his lighter moments. He has his enjoyable moments. Those can be captured. But when you can't have a 23-year-old person wearing Lieutenant General's ranks. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, embarrassing errors are always
embarrassing.
there.
And then the uniform is wrong. You're wearing a beret of a different wing of the army. You're wearing the shoulder titles. So research work which has to go. Serious research work. Fortunately, lot has improved in last few years. Having said that, still a lot needs to go into the research work and the serious research work. I understand there are commercial constraints. But then if you're making a war movie, you're making a war movie.
Correct.
You can't be singing songs during the war.
No, the subject matter is too serious. For any kind of, compromise. I understand that. General Dhillon, as many admirers of General Dhillon will know, he has embraced social media in a very, very open manner. He talks to his audience. He's constantly answering their questions. He's always says thank you to compliments from no matter where they come from. And I'm guessing you get them all day, sir. But social media is also a very serious business. And you've seen the flip side of social media as the Kashmir commander, I'm sure. So I wanted to know about your experience with that, because we've seen how terror groups have used social media for recruitment, for propaganda, for their own sinister purposes, especially in the Kashmir Valley, sir. How did you handle all of that? Because your understanding of social media is amazing. So how did you handle the flip side of social media by terror groups?
Pakistan has a narrative, has a propaganda. And he uses social media to spread that propaganda and spread that narrative. If we do not portray our part or our point of view, and most importantly, in a transparent manner, in an ethical manner, in a truthful manner. There is no bigger propaganda than being truthful. There is no bigger propaganda than being transparent. Because finally the lies will come out. There was a Prime Minister of Pakistan who tweeted the wrong photographs.
Correct.
So he got caught. But if you are truthful, and my point when managing social media is managing of perceptions of young minds. If I am not honest in my social media content, if I'm not transparent, if I don't respond to questions. But only thing I always tell, yesterday also I tweeted, I said we can discuss, let's not argue. Let's not be abusive. We can convey your point of view very firmly without being abusive. I have seen on social media friends of years are blocking each other. So social media, by definition, media is a platform or a sort of a medium given to you to interact socially. So it's a social interaction platform.
But did it ever pose a challenge for you, sir? Did you ever think that, how does one tackle this challenge where you have, inimical elements, anti-national elements, terror groups, using these same platforms that are otherwise beneficial to society to go against the country, go against the army? How big a challenge was that?
Yeah, it's a challenge because Pakistan social media management or the perception management or the narrative building,
Yes.
they do it in a very, very systematic
Yes,
manner.
absolutely. Aggressive.
To counter it, you have to pick up their content, you have to say this is wrong, and you have to counter them with facts. Making a mere statement that this video by Pakistan is a propaganda will not help. It will probably also have doubt on your credibility. But if I give the corroboration, if I give the origin of that video, and if I give why this video is not what it is being portrayed, then my credibility goes up. So it is not important to, sort of